a few days on from relegation being confirmed. How are you feeling?
Yeah, very disappointed. It's been a extremely tough season for us, and we did worked ever so hard to try and stay in the league, but unfortunately we haven't been able to do that.
What was the point, if there was one point, when realistically survival became impossible?
I think just latterly, probably the Carlisle game was the final straw for us. We needed to win that game, we didn't, and that allowed us to not be able to pick up enough points between then and the end of the season.
So until that point, you had some confidence that it could be turned around?
Yeah, we did. I think that we've shown against the teams that we played around about us this season, none of them have gained anything on us. We've lost points against teams in mid-table and above. We've beaten Carlisle at Carlisle. We drew with Tranmere at Tranmere. We beat Tranmere here. We lost to Accrington. We beat Accrington. So it's not really been the teams round about us that have been the issue. It's been higher up the table. We haven't won enough games, but we've lost too many. And to lose 15 games 1-0, it shows how close we were, but we haven't been good enough to win those games or get a point in them.
It also shows just how difficult it is to bridge a gap, doesn't it, when you are adrift 4 or 5 points or more, because all it takes is one result for the team above you and it's more problems, isn't it?
Yeah, of course, and I think that's been an issue of late. We had momentum, then we picked up a number of injuries. We had everyone back in the squad, and then all of a sudden it went the other way for us. And that's the nature, of football. These things happen, and unfortunately for us, we just didn't have the strength and depth to keep on going.
Looking back, do you regret any of the decisions you've made over the season, be it tactical or selection or whatever, really?
I think you've always got regrets. I think that throughout the season, that always is going to be. Maybe sometimes we've gone too gung-ho for games, and I think that maybe we could have been a wee bit more defensive and not gone for them.
After Monday's match, you talked about the mistakes the club had made when getting promoted into League One and then on relegation back to League Two. Could you expand on that? What sort of things were you talking about? Was it off the pitch matters, really?
I think I have done throughout the season. It's been quite open and honest. I've spoken throughout the season about it, and everyone knows that the circumstances that have happened. There's no need for me to go over old ground. It's happened, and it's really been part of the problem that we got ourselves into this situation. And it can't all be to blame with the players and the staff. That can't be the whole scenario. It has to look at different scenarios, and I've explained over the season what they are.
So what happens now then? 2 games to go, but can you look any further ahead at this point?
In what respect, to next season or
next season and selection, player choice for next season, your own situation?
Yeah, I'm under contract, so I'll be here next season. Players are under contract as well. We've got a whole host of players that will be here next season, and we'll have players that go back from loan. But we've got a squad of players at this moment in time wanting to go to Chesterfield and put on a performance. We know how difficult that's going to be because Chesterfield are pushing for the playoff places.
So you're not planning on going anywhere? You intend to be the manager here for the start of next season?
Yes.
And in order for that to be a successful season, I guess you need off-field issues, the ownership in particular, sorted as soon as possible?
Yeah, well, that's not up to me. I'm an employee of the football club, and I've got to do as best as I can in my role. And when I came in on the 3rd of June, I was told that they were hopeful of the sale going through before the start of the season. Then we would get an increased budget that would help us. That didn't happen. We came to January, and the EFL wouldn't allow us to sign players because we didn't have the money to do it. So as a manager, it is very difficult when you don't have, one, the resources, but also two, when you can't actually fulfil your job. And what I did was, I've tried to do is protect the football club, keep us going, keep the players motivated. And I think that's shown, in the way that the players have kept on going all season, and credit to them.
Do you feel let down by what's happened in terms of the ownership not being sorted?
Well, in January, the chairman quite openly stated, and you were there at the press conference, that he said that the club has let me down. And he quite openly said that. And I didn't say anything on the day because I didn't want to. But I've done my best for this football club, and they've done the best, as best as they can for me, as they could do, with the parameters that they're working in.
So you do feel let down yourself then? You didn't say it then, would you say it now?
I would never say it, because I don't want, that to come out, because I think that, why, all I'm saying is that it's been difficult. It's been extremely difficult, and I don't think there'll be many jobs in the Football League that'll be as difficult as this job. But, I've stuck at it, and I've tried my best to keep us going, and unfortunately, we just haven't been good enough to do it.
Last time round, you saw the writing on the wall and you left the club, really, didn't you? Has that crossed your mind at all this season?
I didn't leave the club. A club came in and paid compensation twice. So this football club's had a lot of money from two clubs for my services. When that did happen, I chose to leave. There was an opportunity for me to do that. And this season, I decided not to. And I wanted to stay and fight. And, when you're told that things are going to happen, then you've got to believe that that's going to happen. And unfortunately, it hasn't. And we've had to deal with the consequences.
Have you been given any assurances about things being sorted for next season, in time for next season?
No, we've got to find out what the budget is for next season. We haven't got a budget for next season. It didn't matter what division we were going to be in, we still don't have a budget. So we've got to wait to find out what that is.
I was going to ask you about the budget, because a few weeks ago you said this year's budget was the equivalent of about 10th in the National League. What sort of figures do you think you need to be competitive in the National League, to be a playoff contending side?
Well, we'll certainly not have the budget to do that. That's par for the course. We understand that. We'll have a budget that the football club can afford, and that's what we've got to work to. But as I said, we'll certainly, you'll be mid-table come the budget, because the budget isn't going to increase from last season. So, we'll just have to wait and see what we can afford this season.
You relish a challenge. You got the team promoted on the smallest budget in League Two, possibly, if not the smallest amongst the smallest. If you had a mid-table budget in the National League, do you think with your track record, you and your self-belief, you could launch a playoff campaign? Yeah,
we're going to have to be in the playoff places next season. There's no doubt about it. We understand how competitive a league it is, but for us to go down a division, then that's got to be our ultimate aim, is to be in the playoff places next season.
In terms of the players, you mentioned some of them being under contract. Would you want many of them to stay, or do you think you need a complete rebuild for next season?
No, there's a number of them that have triggered their options in their contract, so they will be with us for this year, and I'm happy for them to stay, because we need a nucleus of squad going into next season. We can't, as we did this year, sign 15 players in the one day on the 1st of July. We're still going to have to sign a good number of players in the off-season, but we've got the nucleus of a squad here that is more than capable of playing.
But you're confident then that it won't be a repeat of, as you said, 15 players in one day?
It won't be 15 players in one day if we're not under an embargo, but it will still be probably double digits that we'll have to take in the summer.
With how it's turned out this season, I don't mean relegation, I mean all the issues off the pitch. Do you regret coming back?
I never regret coming back because I love the football club. I think it's a very, very good football club. What has happened since we went to League One and how it's moved from there, it's been very, very difficult because financially we haven't been able to compete on a number of levels. And that's not just on the playing side. If you look at the stadium needs improved. And, I think that these are all areas that it needs improvement. And we haven't been able to do that for a great number of years. All we do is stick a plaster over something and hope for the best. And that can't continue. We need to forward plan and be resourceful, increase the income, because that's the only way that we can increase the budget as well.
So how do you see the future of the club then? You're now committing yourself to being here next season. You're talking about ideally launching at least a playoff campaign. There'll be some fans thinking, if we even reach next season, that's an achievement. How do you see the future of the club?
Yeah, I think that that has to come from the owners. We all know that the budget that we had and the losses that have been made over the last, they can't continue. We need to work to a better way of working and increase income to reduce the costs. You've got to remember, we made 500,000 for our cup run this year. We didn't see a penny of that, not in the playing squad, nothing. It went to pay off the debt. The players never got a bonus, the staff never got a bonus for achieving the amount of money that was achieved. The first team were never able to use it. It wasn't used in anything. It was to pay off debt, and that's not the way that you should be running a football club. A percentage of that should go straight back into the club to help us, i.e. Increase the budget, but other areas of the club should be improved as well, and that's something that hasn't happened because we're running at a loss.
So how do you see these last two games then, Derek, starting with Chesterfield away? Is it bringing as many of the youngsters as possible? You don't have much choice, do you, because of injuries?
Yeah, we have got the same squad as we had last weekend, but I think that it's important that we go to Chesterfield and do our best, because other teams in the league are looking for us to cause an upset, and we've got to be extremely professional and try and do that. Chesterfield are an excellent side, did really well last week against Bradford to get back to 3-3, and they're pushing to get in the playoff positions. And
there will be a substantial away following for what will be the last EFL game for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, of course, and I think that as a supporter and a staff, we've all got a part to play in that, and I think that the away supporters, the home supporters, have been extremely loyal to us this season.
Get money for your old phone, MazumaMobile.com.